Slenderman, a true story from Wisconsin. Part 1, The November Woods. In late autumn of 2013, the Cooper family moved into an old wooden house near the edge of a dense forest just outside Baraboo, Wisconsin. The house was built in the 1930s. From the outside, it looked worn and tired, with ivy crawling up the sides and windows that creaked in the wind. But inside, it was warm, clean, and surprisingly well kept. Sarah Cooper, the mother, worked night shifts as a nurse at the local hospital. Ben, the father, was a long-haul trucker, gone for days at a time. That left their 12-year-old daughter, Allison, alone most evenings. She was a quiet girl, shy, bookish, and more comfortable in nature than among people. She liked to walk along the forest trails behind the house, especially in the early morning fog. Just a few days after they moved in, Allison started writing in a journal, her way of coping with loneliness. That's where the first signs began. In her messy handwriting, she wrote, "I feel like someone is watching me from the woods. I saw a shadow. Very tall. Too tall." Sarah brushed it off as childish imagination, but Allison became more withdrawn. She stopped going out after dark. She covered her window with a blanket, even though the curtains were thick. Then, she started drawing him. A tall, faceless man in a black suit, arms far too long, sometimes with tentacle-like shadows curling from his back. The figure appeared again and again in her sketches, always in the trees, always in the background, always watching. Part 2, The Static. One night in early December, while Sarah was working and Ben was on the road, Allison called her mother crying. The power had gone out. It was just past 9:30 p.m. when Sarah received the call. "Mom," Allison whispered through the phone. "He's outside the window." Sarah tried to calm her down, assuming it was just fear from the blackout. She told her to lock the doors, grab a flashlight, and stay on the line. But then the phone cut out, replaced with static. Not silence. Static. When Sarah got home a few hours later, the power had returned. Allison was sitting on the couch, pale and silent, with every light in the house turned on. She had moved all the furniture against the doors and windows. There were deep scratch marks on the back door, high up where no animal could reach. Allison didn't sleep that night, and after that, she refused to stay alone. She began sleeping in her mother's bed, clutching a small flashlight, even when the lights were on. Part 3, The Journal. Sarah found the journal a few days before Christmas. It had been shoved under Allison's mattress, filled with frantic handwriting and bizarre symbols. The entries became more chaotic, more desperate. "He's in the trees. He's inside the walls. He's getting closer. Don't look into the woods. He hides in stillness. He speaks in the static. He whispers when I sleep." There were entire pages filled with the word Slenderman, repeated hundreds of times, sometimes upside down, sometimes backward. One drawing showed Allison lying in bed with a tall figure standing at the foot of it, arms stretching out toward her. Sarah burned the journal that night. She thought destroying it would help her daughter forget, stop the obsession. It didn't. Part 4, Disappearance. On January 4th, 2014, Allison disappeared. There was no sign of forced entry, no open windows, no broken locks. Her shoes were still by the door. Her coat hung untouched on the hook, but she was gone. The only thing they found was a piece of paper on her bed, a drawing. Slenderman standing in the woods, with Allison beside him, holding his hand. Below it were the words, "I'm going home." The police searched the woods for weeks. Dogs, helicopters, volunteers, nothing. It was like she had vanished into thin air. Her case remains unsolved to this day, but that's not the end of the story. Part 5. The Hiker's Discovery. In October 2018, 5 years later, a hiker named Daniel Marks was walking through the woods near Baraboo when he stumbled across something strange. An old wooden shed, half collapsed and hidden beneath the years of overgrowth. Inside, he found something chilling. Child's drawings, dozens of them, nailed to the walls. All of them showed the same thing. A faceless figure in black. Trees. Darkness. A girl. In the corner of the shed, covered in dust, was a small torn piece of flannel. The same fabric as Allison's favorite pajamas. It had her name stitched on the inside. The police reopened the case, but no new leads were found. The shed was later destroyed in a fire. Cause unknown. Locals say they still hear whispers near that part of the forest. Static on their radios, flickering lights when they drive by, and a few hikers have reported something more unsettling. A tall figure among the trees, watching, silent still. Part 6. Sarah's Story. In 2021, Sarah Cooper gave an interview to a small podcast that covered paranormal cases. She sounded tired, hollow. "I don't care if people believe me anymore," she said. "I know what I saw. I know what took her." She described one night in particular, just a week before Allison vanished. She woke up at 3:17 a.m. The house was dead silent, but her daughter was gone from her bed. Panicked, Sarah ran through the house. Then she saw it, through the living room window. Allison was standing at the edge of the forest, and behind her, something impossibly tall, barely visible through the fog. Sarah screamed and ran outside, but by the time she reached the trees, they were both gone. She never saw her daughter again. Epilogue. He only comes for the quiet ones. There's a theory about Slenderman that he doesn't go after the loud or the brave. He comes for the ones who are already half lost. The quiet, the lonely, the forgotten. People who won't be missed right away. People like Allison. And if you ever find yourself in the woods of Wisconsin and the trees start to feel like they're watching you, don't run. Don't speak. And whatever you do, don't look up.